Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with our host, Christina Nichman.
Our guest today is Sixtus Z. Atabong, president and founder of Purpose Medical Mission. He is a neurosurgery physician assistant and joins us today to share his enlightening book, My Father's Gift. Find out more about Sixtus and get a copy of his book at sixtusatabong.com. That is SIXTUSATABONG.com. Hi, Sixton. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio for our Heartbeat of the World segment. How are you this day right after Thanksgiving? We're so grateful to have you here today.
I am grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you betcha. You are here to share your wonderful new book, your award-winning humanitarian. You've worked around the world to help people and bring your gift of medicine to your old home where you came from in Africa, in Cameroon. You wrote a wonderful book called My Father's Gift, and I'm grateful for you to share that with our audience. But before we go to all that, I'd love for you to share with your audience a little bit about your backstory, what brought you, for one, to write your book, and number two, to get in the world of medicine. What brought you to that world?
Well, as you said, I came to the United States from a small West African country of Cameroon. I grew up in a farming village raised by parents who had no formal education. Mm-hmm. And they believed that the best way that, they can expose us or give us the tools to succeed in life is to give us the best education that was available in the country. Mm. So my parents actually sacrificed their most prized possession, which was their cocoa farm, to send me to the United States, to study. Like I said, their dream was to help us, their children, to escape the unbearable hardships, as I mentioned in the book, that they sustained during their poverty-stricken years in Cameroon. So they just believed that America had offered the best opportunity for children like myself, kids who had very little resources, but with the determination, if given the chance to work. And that's pretty much it. I came here in search of opportunity, of hope, of freedom. Mm-hmm. And went into the medical field because one of the first jobs I had in the United States was as a nurse aide, just working in nursing homes. Mm-hmm. And I was exposed to the medical field. Mm. And then also growing up in a village with no medical resources, I always had in the back of my mind, I had to go back to Cameroon to give or to help my family. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but as I was introduced into the medical field, that was just fitting for me, as I felt it was a blessing to go back to my village and help build the hospital.
Wow. And it's awesome that that field really matched you as a person, because I've been around hospitals and they just skeeve the heck out of me. I know for me, that would be not my gift to give back to the world. It's awesome that it was something that actually did work for you. Now, when you came here, was it really difficult getting used to the American culture? I'm assuming it's kind of different from where you came from.
Oh, it was it was totally different from where I came from. Like I said, I didn't grow up in a city, so I grew up in a little village with no access to electricity or even running water. It was a farming village, as you can imagine. And I went to a boarding school, which was also located in a very remote part of the country. And from there, I came to the United States. And first, just the cultural challenges, economic challenges, the social challenges, it was pretty tough. But for the sacrifices that was made on my behalf, I didn't have any choice. I knew I had to succeed, and I knew I had to give back.
Yeah. What was the hardest bit of getting used to as far as the cultural differences for you? Was it the language? Was it, what was the hardest bit?
Well, the language was by far the hardest thing. Wow. I spoke some English, but American English is different from English everywhere else in the world. And then the accent, to talk so people understand you, that was very difficult. And I just kind of trained myself. I listened to others. I tried to imitate, for lack of a better word, how people talk. And over the years, I hope it's gotten better to the point where you can understand me. So,
oh my gosh, yes.
But yeah, I would say that was the hardest part. And then obviously just the social part of it, and the economic hardship, having to work your way through school and pay your education. That was very hard. But again, it's what made me who I am today.
How did you get through paying for all of the schooling and such? Did you take like 3 jobs? How did that work out for you?
Oh, I did. In my book, you will see it clearly that the first year I came here, my dad obviously sold his farm, and that paid for my 1 year of tuition in a boarding school here in the United States. And after a year, I pretty much ran out of money. And then there was a pastor in Texas. I was in Arkansas. The pastor in Texas said, if you can make it to to Texas, I will help you apply for a less expensive school. Oh. And obviously from there, I applied to get a job, and he helped me through that process. And there were times where I had 4 jobs, working in 2 nursing homes, working in a hospital, working as a teaching assistant at school. All of that just to, get my first car, to pay my tuition, to buy food, to pay for my rent. I did that for a good 4 years before I was able to get financial aid.
Well, you know what this recalls for me, Sixton? I remember early on, one of my first jobs was working in a copy center. I had no direction after school. All I know was I really didn't. I didn't want to go straight to college because I didn't know what passion I had, what I wanted to do. So I went straight to work. I figured I'll just make money. And one of my first jobs in a copy center, there was this guy that took the 3rd shift, the night shift. And basically there's very little to do in the copy shop. Not many people making copies at midnight. So he basically took the job so he could sleep and study his medical books because he was going to med school. So it was a perfect job for him. He's like, I can get a cat nap of 2 hours and then study the rest of the night and get paid for it. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And that was his way to get through med school.
Well, that story reminds me of me. I worked for 2 years when I came to Texas Tech University. I worked every single day at night from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I went to school the next day, full time, every day. And I usually go to school till 2 o'clock. I'll go home and take a cat nap from maybe 3 to 6, and I'll get ready to go back to work. So yes, I totally understand that story, and that was me.
Now, I hear here you mentioned earlier about a pastor that helped you out and said, if you come here, I'll help you apply to a school that's a little cheaper. Did you have a lot of mentors along the way that kind of led you in a good direction?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I had almost, looking at my life today, I give all the credit to several people that I say God just put in my path. They saw me, and most of them saw something in me that I did not even see in myself. And they pushed me, and they pushed me hard. They say, hey, you have something in you. You can't stop here. You got to keep going. And they gave me that extra push that I needed. They didn't take over the work. They didn't give me a handout. Some of them just offered me a place to stay for, say, 6 months. And others would just, buy me a textbook. And some would just talk to me about how to handle the social issues. I mean, there were many people in my life, and my book is truly a tribute to all of those people who have made me who I am today, and are having an impact all around the world through me and other people in that are part of my organization.
Wow, Sixtus. You know what this reminds me of? Both you and I think, come from a upbringing of, work hard to make it happen. Now I'm living my passion and greatest gift in this that we're doing right here, Savvy Business Radio. It took me a while to discover what my gifts were that I could give to the world. But we both came from a background of mentors and family members kind of pushing us to say, be your best, don't settle for doing your least. But you know what, I'm seeing a lot from young people, all sorts of young people, in college or whatever. I heard on the train not too long ago, some young people who just graduated got a job for, they said $45,000. They were talking amongst themselves, and they were saying, oh, I don't make enough money to make copies. How dare they ask me to make copies? And I'm thinking, $45,000 to make copies? Hot darn.
Well, I was working 4 jobs so I could make $27,000 a year.
Wow.
This is just 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So of course I understand inflation and I understand everything else, but $45,000, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And if someone offered me $45,000, I would do whatever you want me to do.
You want me to get
you're
there
right.
and clean your windows? I'll do it.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. That's one of the things and one of the feedbacks I'm getting from parents who are buying my book and are sharing the book with their teenage kids is just teaching them that hard work, that, which I truly think that's what America is all about. Is that that's capitalistic mentality, that hard work leads to success, and directing your path and just being willing to put in the time it takes to achieve what you want. It's a country that you can, if you work hard, you can meet your fullest potential. You just have to put in the work it takes to get it done. And I don't think anybody's going to hand that to you. You've got to do it.
Yeah. Where do you think, from your perspective, now I don't think this is all young people, of course, but where do you think it's come from that a lot of young people will think, well, I should just get this because, I went to college, got a degree, I shouldn't have to work hard. Where do you think that ideology or idea came from that a lot of young people are encompassing?
Well, that is a very good question. Number one, I think we as parents are to blame. So we have to take responsibility because a lot of us worked hard, and we just believe that, hey, if you work hard, you just have to take care of your kids. You have to give them what they want. Fast forward several years, we're starting to raise kids that are having this just this mentality of, I deserve it, I need it, I want it, I don't have to work for it. So I think part of that is us. The second part is just the easy access to resources. I mean, everything they want is right there in their palm.
Yeah.
You and I had to go to the library just to go do a research on one word. Today, you've got Google, you've got everything. It's just right there. It's so easy for us to get it. And our kids have that, and then you just have they're exposed to just so much these days that we were not exposed to. So I think part of it is just the society today. And you're right, it's not all the young kids. I have kids who volunteer with me. I have kids who are great, incredible kids, very hardworking kids. Many of them, I mentor. And they want to succeed and they want to work hard. But obviously we have the other half that just want it. They want it now. And I have friends who are going through that today. I have friends who are looking at my life or looking at their kids and they're saying, man, I wish I did this differently. These are parents. Yeah. So I don't know. How do we solve that? I think we have to go back to the basics, Well,
I love that you mentioned that about the internet and how fast paced it is, because I didn't even consider that it being so easy and information being accessible and everything being accessible, that would make you a little spoiled. And I'm guessing adults too, because, you've heard it. Adults go somewhere where there isn't a readily internet. You're like, oh my gosh, my world's falling apart. But, we didn't even have these 20 years ago. We didn't have a cell phone that could attach to the entire world and give us whatever we want at a second's. We had to wait for it. And so I think we've all become a little spoiled. And sometimes it's a great idea to separate from all the modern conveniences, as you said, to get back to basics.
Yeah. And they have access to, a lot of celebrities. I have always been a proponent of just encouraging your kids to have role models that are from their area, their community, something that they can they can see and say, that's me. When I go to Africa in my village and I do the work that I do, I'm always reminded of what that means, not only to me, but to the kids that are there, because those kids see me and they know that's them. And I see them and I see myself in them as well. So, if someone is, say, you can use the celebrities, obviously, as role models, but most of what the celebrities do is so far-fetched. And it's truly not achievable. I mean, what percent of us are going to be, NFL players? Well, if you think about less than 2%. So let's be realistic and start looking at role models that mimic who we are, and use those people to encourage our kids and the kids around our communities.
Yeah, and Sixtus, what's interesting is I'd heard a marketing expert, branding expert many years ago talk on my show about how really in the entertainment industry, you can make a celebrity out of anything. You can take someone, brand them a certain way, and bam, overnight, they're a celebrity. So it's kind of, as you said, not only far-fetched, it's almost an illusion. It's not even real. And we're like buying into this, oh, I could be that. No, not unless someone picks you up and makes you that.
Exactly.
Don't you want to create your own success? And tell me, I also read in saw in your book that your parents were Christian. You grew up in a Christian environment. How much did God play a part in your life and bring you where you are today?
Well, obviously, that is a big part of my life. I always say I don't believe in luck or coincidences. I think everything happened for a reason. Growing up, I grew up in the church in my little tiny village. We knew everyone, and our community was our church. So everybody believed in us, and they pushed us hard. But our purpose in life and wanting to give back and finding that true meaning of what life is for me, is found in the service of God, and especially the service of others. If you truly want to know what this life is all about, if you want to get fulfillment from just being thankful. Yesterday we're celebrating Thanksgiving, and I had 40 family members from all across the United States come in, and we just sat there and we were just thankful for life, for the gift of life. We were just thankful for how my country is falling apart. There's a war going on in the country, but we still have life. We still have to sit back and say, we are still able to not only be successful, but to help others and to give others hope. So Christianity and God is my guiding light, and everywhere I go, that's what I represent. I am an extension of God's healing hand, and I never forget that.
And you actually created a wonderful organization. Tell people about that.
So our organization is called Purpose Medical Mission, and it was founded right here in West Texas. And it all started when I wanted to go back to Cameroon, my little village, to open a clinic. As you read in the book, my dad had diabetes and ended up losing his leg from complications from the diabetes. So I just thought there was something. This was the call to action. I needed to do something. If my dad, a medical provider in the United States, with all the resources and the access I had, could end up losing his leg, then imagine all the other farmers who don't have kids that have the resources to help them. So I wanted to go to my village to open a small clinic, staff it with a nurse, and my wife and I saved a little bit of money. And on our first mission trip, I was able to get some of my colleagues from my area, doctors, physician assistants, nurse practitioners, plumbers, electricians, farmers. They came with me to my village, and what they saw in that village on our first mission trip was a complete lack of any type of health facility.
Wow. And
they came back and they shared that story with their families and their friends. And that's how Purpose Medical Mission was founded. We believe that through, just preventative care, through spiritual healing, we can truly change a society. Our goal is all about sustainability. We want to help them to take care of themselves. We go there and we ask them the question, how can we help? And in Cameroon, in Nicaragua, in Guatemala, in Congo, and now we're looking into going to the Philippines. We go there and we meet people in these communities. We sit down with them. We have conversations with them. We tell them, we're not coming here to take over your healthcare. We want to help you set something and help you build it so that tomorrow you're able to take care of yourself. You can have healthy communities. The life expectancy in most of these communities have improved. The parents are able to see hope in their children's future. And that just changes everything. It changes the mentality of the communities. And it's truly just a beautiful thing. So that's what Purpose Medical Mission is all about. And right now we are pretty much all over the world.
And what I'm gathering from your message here and what you bring the people of Cameroon is this empowerment. And I think this kind of thing, And I think it's missing a lot from medical around the world, including here, is the idea of empowerment of your patients and the people, that this isn't about us coming in and just fixing you, making you all better. This is an ongoing process where you are participatory in your own health process and making you healthy.
Absolutely. When you empower people, you give them, the opportunity to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They see us. We are strangers. We are strangers coming in there and telling them, we want to be partners with you. But the whole purpose of the partnership is to give you the resources you need, so you are able to take care of your families and your community. So yes, it in one word, it is empowering the people to be able to see a better future for their children and for themselves.
Wow, this is phenomenal. And if you were, from all the lessons you've learned from your journeys and from where you are today, what's the one greatest aha gift or understanding that you could pass on to all of our listeners?
Oh, I just hope that, through my journey, especially my challenges, not just the successes, that I'm able to, inspire the readers or the listeners to embrace their own story. So, we have hardships, and never underestimate your story. Your story may just be what someone else somewhere needs to get up, to pick themselves up and to be better. I want us to get a better appreciation of what America represents, which is that freedom, that equality. The world is falling apart, but America is that beacon of hope. I hope to redefine what we call the American dream. I would love to just start a conversation, or as you can call it, just ignite a passion for serving others. Yes. And in that process, make our communities and our world a better place for all of us, all over the world.
I so love that, Sexton. I mean, this part of the reason we created this Heartbeat of the World, to bring certain issues and points that concern all of the citizens, not just here in the United States, but around the world, and bring them together in a conversation that is helpful, not one where we're screaming and hollering about my viewpoint is right. Because right now, if you really talk to people, I don't even know if they know what their viewpoint is. They're just getting, uploads from here, this news channel, that blurb here and there. But really, to have a constructive conversation where we're all human, we all want to live healthy, happy lives with our children being safe, and to be and live our greatest potential. And we can't do that by screaming and hollering at each other and screaming, hurling insults at each other. So yeah, I'm so grateful that you're opening that conversation to people, because freedom is why everyone wants to come here. We want the freedom to create Absolutely. Our own pursuit of happiness and to be our greatest, fullest potential, which is what God wanted. Yeah, freedom isn't granted by a government; it's granted by God.
Absolutely, and you said we all want to live in a fair and a peaceful place. Yeah. We today we've gotten so polarized, and people are yelling at each other. But that's not what we teach our kids. We teach our kids to be listeners. We teach our kids to be constructive. We teach our kids to look at problems and find solutions. So for the sake of our children, for the sake of the future of tomorrow, we owe it to them to start having that conversation. We owe it to them. Well, it could be the social issues or just the economic issues. There is a solution, and especially in a country like the United States, where we have that freedom to talk. Most places, people don't have the freedom of speech. I am sitting here talking to you, and this in itself is a blessing, because we're able to have that conversation, and we can call on everyone who's listening to just, look at ourselves and try to see how we can represent God, how we can be a light to the world, how we can be a beacon of hope. And there's no better blessing than that. That's what, at the end of life, we have to look back and say, we did the best we could with the time that we were given.
Absolutely. Amen. I have to thank you so much, Sexton Atabong, for coming to share your great gifts today, your wisdom, and your book. Please go get it, everyone. My father's gift, very important gift. If he hadn't sacrificed, as so many parents do for their children, you wouldn't be here today giving to the world. So thanks to your dad as well and your whole family for the sacrifice they made and your sacrifices to give back to the world. Thank you so much, Sexton, for coming to share on Savvy Business Radio.
Savvy Business Radio broadcasts worldwide via a large podcast network, celebrating business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, and successful individuals. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina@savvybusinessradio.com.